Good morning, student. I welcome you to my class, and today we will be doing the question answer of wind. But before that, children, I will be revising the theme and the important point of the lesson. So, of course, children, I have already told you that wind has been discussed by Subramania Bharti. Wind inspired us to face the challenges thrown at us with firm determination. Here wind means difficulties, so difficulties we have to face with firm determination. We should be strong enough to face all the hardship of life with courage. Wind symbolizes problems and obstacles. So what does wind symbolizes, children? It symbolizes problems and obstacles that we all face and go go through at some point time in of our lives, and go to some at some point of time in our life. A satire on human weakness. I will be telling you what is the meaning of satire. Satire means to comment actually on human weakness and the power of the strong human. So children, here as I told you, the wind teases and make fun of the weak persons or thing. The wind god picks up the weak and crushes them. The poet advises us to be strong in mind and body. The wind will be our friend when we are strong, as wind itself. In fact, the wind symbolizes difficulties and challenges. Difficulties and challenges frighten us as long as we are weak. As soon as we look boldly into their eyes, they disappear. So, children, the wind teases and make fun of the weak persons or things. The wind god picks up the weak and crushes them. The poet advises us to be strong in mind and body. The wind will be our friend when we are strong as wind itself. In fact, the wind symbolizes difficulties and challenges of life. Difficulties and challenges frighten us as long as we are weak. As soon as we look boldly into their eyes, they disappear. Now, so summary, a important point of the lesson I am telling. Troubled by wind, the poet asks the wind to come gently, but it blows violently and causes a lot of destruction. It breaks the shutter of the windows, scatters the paper, and throws down the books on the shelf. The wind makes fun of the weak person and thing. Weak houses, weak doors, weak rafters, weak wood, weak bodies, weak hearts, all are crushed by the wind god. Advice of the poet is that the poet advises us that to build strong houses and strong doors. We should be strong in body and mind, so that the wind cannot harm us. The wind will become our friend when we become as strong as the wind itself. So children, how does the poet want the wind to blow? In the first stanza from wind, let me tell you something about now question answer session. Children, if I have to give MCQ on the extract base, so let's start from the first stanza. Wind comes softly, don't bring the shutter of the window, don't scatter the wind till you threw them. So my first question, how does the poet want the wind to blow? Now children, here you don't have to write softly. You have to write the full answer. One whole sentence answer should be there. How does the poet want the wind to blow? The poet wants the wind to blow gently. Then how does the wind blows as shown in these lines? As shown in this line, the wind blows violently. As shown in this line, the wind blows violently. Don't Then third, what are the three things the poet does not want the wind to do? The poet does not want wind to break the shutters, to scatter the paper, and to throw down the books on the shelf. Fourth, what has the wind done to the books? The wind has thrown the books down and torn the pages. What has the wind brought again? The wind has brought rain again. So children, you can see in the MCQ questions and answer, I am replying the whole word. Now textual question, children, we will be discussing. Um, in textual questions, uh, in the first stanza, the wind, first, what are the things the wind does in the first stanza? In the first stanza, the wind is a troublemaker. It breaks the shutter of the windows. It scatters the paper. It even throws down the books and tears the pages. Then it brings rain. Thus, it disturbs everything. How have you seen anybody winnowing grain at home or in a paddy field? What is the word in your language for winnowing? Uh, why do people use for winnowing? Give the words in your language if you know them. So in our houses, we see our mother and household ladies winnowing the grain. In a paddy field, our laborious farmers remain busy in this activity. They use this practice for rice and other paddles like dal, bajra, jowar. In our language, the word for winnowing is pachhodna. In Hindi, we say pachhodna. Okay, and as our language is, as our mother tongue is Hindi, and the children use for winnowing um, charge. It is used for separating grains from the chaff. Question number 3. What does the poet say the wind god winnows? The poet says that the wind makes fun of the weak. It crumbles the doors, houses, rafters, wood, bodies, lives, and heats. In a way, the wind gods separate the weak from the strong. The strong are like the grain, and the weak are like the shafts. So, children, strong are like the grain, and the weak are like the shafts. So, children, now what should we do to make friends with the wind? We should try our best to make friends with the wind, and for that, we have to be very strong. As the wind is strong, so we should be brave enough to make ourselves strong only. Only a firm, brave, steadfastness, courageous, strong-willed person can face the challenges. India needs brave people like the wind. We can have friendship with the wind if we have above mentioned quality. What is the last four line of the poem mean to you? The last four line of the poem demand us to be firm like the wind. So it demand us that we should be firm like the wind. In case we are strong, steadfast, and firm, the wind will be our friend. So the wind will be our friend. The strong wind blows out even the weak fire. Side by side, it makes a strong fire violent. So the friendship with the air is rewarding. We should make it our friend. Now, question number 6. How does the poet speak to the wind in anger or with humor? You must have seen or heard of the wind crumbling lives. What is your reason to this? Is it like the poet? So the poet speaks to the wind with humor. I have seen and heard the wind troubling lives. My response is like that of the poet. The poet indirectly challenges the wind to trouble him because he is not weak. So, children, the poet speaks to the wind in anger when it is violent and fierce. At that time, it crushes, destroys, and crumbles everything that appears in its way. On the other hand, the poet speaks to the wind in humor as well. It gives comfort and soothes the world. It happens in the life of everyone. The wind crumbles everything that comes in the way. It is a matter of great disappointment, destructions, and direction. When there is a destruction, everybody will react to the poet. Okay, so now, children, this is the text. This was the textual question. Now I will be discussing, children, short answer type of question. What does the wind do when it comes softly? When the wind comes softly, it is very pleasing. It does not irritate anyone. It does no harm. It does not trouble the weak either. What harm does the wind do when it blows hard? When the wind blows hard or violently, it breaks the shutter of the window. It scatters the paper. Also, it throws the books down the shelf and tears their paper. How does the wind bring rain? The wind sometimes comes in the form of the storm, then it blows very violently and brings the cloud with it. These clouds very often causes rain. After the rain, it is all quiet. How does the wind poke fun at weaklings? The wind is not sympathetic to the weak. When it blows violently, the weak meet their death. Old and weak buildings fall. Weak doors and rafters fail. Everything which is weak meets its doom in the storm. These are the wood, the bodies, and even hearts and lives. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. How? Winnowing means blowing a current of air through grain in order to remove the chaff from it. Chaff means chilka. So let me tell you once again. Winnowing means blowing a current of air through grain in order to remove the chaff from it. CHAFF. In the same way, a strong wind in the form of a storm removes all sorts of weak things from the world, but it leaves only those who are strong and can face the difficulties. According to the poem, Wind, do you consider wind as our servant or master or neither? Give reason. The wind is neither our servant nor master. It does not, it does what it likes. A strong weak does not like the weak, so it does away with all things that are weak. Uh, but it helps the strong to flourish. Why should we make strong houses and doors? We should make strong houses and doors because the wind does not like weak houses and weak door. It destroys. They fall before a violent wind. The wind likes only those things which are strong. How can we be friends with the wind? We have to be strong if we want to be friends with the wind. The wind like a strong house, strong doors, a strong body, and strong hearts. To be friends with the wind, we should make our bodies firm, our hearts strong. How does the wind deal with fires? The wind blows out weak fire, but it makes a strong fire roar and flourish. It blows out the lamp, but a big fire becomes bigger when the wind blows. Subramania Bharti says, we praise him every day. What does she say? We praise him every day. Whom do we praise and why? We praise the wind every day. We praise the wind because it gives us strength. It is the source of life for all living things, including the plants. As long as wind is our friend, it is very good. So we praise it daily. Okay. So this is a short question. Now we will be doing the question of 30 to 40 words. Subramanya Bharti says he won't do what you tell him. What does it shows about the nature of wind? It shows that the wind is too powerful to be under man's control. Whenever it so want, it can assume the shape of a storm and then it causes great destruction. No one can order the wind to obey one's order. Why does the poet ask the wind to come softly? The poet asks the wind to come softly only shows his desire. A strong wind causes much harm. It makes the small and the weak its victim. The weak things are broken and the weak people die. Why does the poet call the wind a winnower? The wind is a winnower indeed, because with it the farmers separate the chaff from the grain. In the poem, the wind separates the weak from the strong. The strong are like the grain and the weak are like the chaff. How does the wind god crushes them all? The wind god in the poem means a strong wind, a storm. The storm crushes the weak things, the crumbling houses, the crumbling plants, and even the crumbling hearts gives way to a strong wind. It moves on crushing them under its force. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Find out the element of satire in this line. The element of satire is in the use of the word clever. It is not cleverness to torture the weak as the wind does. The word clever here seems to mean cunning, and the poet condemns the wind for being cruel. He makes a strong fire roar and flourish. How do the fire roar? How do the fire flourish? Roaring means making a frightening sound like that of a lion in a forest. The sound which a strong fire makes certainly frightened the human hearts. So the poet called it sound roaring. The word flourish has been used in contrast to the word blow out in the same stanza. The weak fires are blown out, the strong fires prosper under its influence, they can be strong. So children, these were some of the important questions related with wind. Now what message that the poet want us to give through the poem Wind? This is very important. The poet wants to give us the message that a strong wind can face and defeat a violent opposition. A weak person cannot even defend himself and his things. So one could be strong, brave and courageous to face all the odds in life. How does the poet describe the wind in the poem Wind? The Subramaniam Bharti has advised us to be strong in mind and body. The wind will be our friend when we are strong. In fact, the wind implies the difficulties and challenges. We should not get frightened on seeing them. As soon as we look into their eyes, they will disappear immediately. Challenges have to be encountered boldly. Now, children, the other important question is give the central idea of the poem Wind. Subramania Bharti has advised us to be strong in mind and body. The wind will be our friends when we are strong. In fact, the wind implies the difficulties and challenges. We should not get frightened on seeing them. As soon as we look into their eyes, they will disappear immediately. Challenges have to be encountered, but not to run away from it. What are the two forms of the wind? Which of them is the most favorable? The wind comes in two forms. One is fierce and violent and destroys everything. The second is cool and slow. It brings comfort and soothes the world. The second one is the most favorable one. What makes a strong? So children, this we have done. Now children, I will be doing some of the long important questions with you people. What damage did the wind cause? How can this be avoided? The wind caused a lot of destruction. It breaks the shutter of the windows, it scatters the paper and throws the books from the shelves. It even breaks the door, breaks down rafters, trees man and man's heart by causing suffering. This can be avoided only if man rises against all negative elements. In the poem Wind, man can only overcome adversity if and when it makes friend with the wind. Man must make himself strong both mentally and physically so that in the face of any challenges he can come out strong. The poet suggests that we must make wind our friend, by which he suggests that one we should develop the ability and confidence to have a control over the spoken, the spokes that prevent our wheel of life from moving forward. Extract the positive from the negative and transform it for the larger good. Okay. So, children, one more question. It's a very interesting question. What does Subramania Bharti says in the poem Wind? So, overall summary, the important points, how you are going to write it. Subramania Bharti advises us to be strong like the wind. A strong person can face all the challenges in life. So, we should be strong in mind and in body. A weak person cannot defend himself. If we are strong, the weak will be our friend. Difficulties will blow out like the wind. The poet requests the wind to blow gently, but it blows violently. It brings destruction. It breaks the shutter, scatters the paper. All these are the weak items, so the wind makes their fun. All these are crushed by the wind god. But the poet asks us to be strong in body and mind. The wind will become our friend if we are powerful like the wind. It is utmost essential on our part to be strong, courageous, and steadfast. Now, children, I already discussed with you why the wind is known as winnower. The wind is a winnower indeed because it is the presence of the wind that the farmer is able to separate the chaff, chaff, chaff from the grain. In the poem, the wind separates the weak from the strong. The strong are like the grain and the weak are like the chaff. So children, the poet called the wind a winnower. Wind is a winnower indeed because it is the presence of the wind that the farmer is able to separate chaff. What is a chaff? It is a children the outer part of the grain from the grain. In the poem, the wind separates the weak from the strong. The strong are like the grain and the weak are like the chaff. So now children, how does a poet speak to the wind, in anger or in humor? You must have seen or heard of the wind crumbling lives. What is your response to this? The poet seems to be angry with the wind as it is creating a havoc by destroying the protections that man has built around him and destroying it even further by bringing the rain along. On a more personal level, I have seen and read about the massive destruction caused because of the storm, dust storms, gales, and cyclones. The trees are uprooted, houses razed to the ground, electric supplies get disrupted, and several hundred of human beings, animals, and birds lose their life. However, there is a positive side to the wind too. It is not always cruel or naughty. It does help a farmer while he is winnowing. It brings in a relief to the people who sweat it out in the sweltering heat and help plants in reproduction. Wind energy is also being harnessed wild to in the present time. Now, children, one question is that Discuss why you consider Wind and Road not taken as symbolic poem. This is a bit tough. Poems are read for enjoyment and to enjoy nature or leaves as seen from the eyes of the poem. Poem can also convey a message to its reader. In the Wind, the poet appeals to us to be mentally and physically strong so that we can combat all opposing forces. Be strong to vanquish and not be vanquished. Be strong to be vanquished and not be vanquished. The poet here shows how the wind breaks down all weak structures and extinguishes weak fires. But when it faces strong fires, it simply assists to burn more brightly. The poet suggests that man should befriend the wind instead of staying away from it. On the other hand, the road not taken, the poet, when faced with a problem, ponders over the situation for a longer period of time. He weighs the pros and cons and then finally makes a decision that would be deciding his future life. The two poems are symbolic as both are dealing with the state of mind of the individual, the strength of the wind, and the strength of our decision will assess our strength as a human being. So, children, and this is the thing. What is the symbolism of wind? Wind as symbol, some have perhaps witnessed as a strong wind knock a nest out of a tree or rip leaves or branches of a tree, but not the wind itself, as it is considered to be the vital breath of the universe. Wind has been symbolized here as the agent that rattles our equilibrium. Those who are physically and mentally weak will get destroyed in time of adversities, whereas the strong will survive. The strong will reassess the problem that have caused the damage and finds a solution. The weak just cry and blame the wind and circumstances. What is the theme of the poem The Wind? The theme of the poem is that we should have a strong body and mind so that in times of adversities or difficulties, we are able to combat all odd things. We should be willing to face challenges and overcome them with ease. There will always be someone waiting round the corner to overpower and defeat us if we are weak. So, children, this is about the wind. Okay. Now, a few of the important questions are: why should we make strong houses and doors? We should make strong houses and doors because the wind does not like weak houses and weak doors. They crumble before a violent wind. The wind likes only those things which are strong. How does the wind behave with a stronger one? We have to be strong if we want to be friend with the wind. The wind like strong houses, strong doors, strong bodies, and strong heart. To be friend with the wind, we should make our bodies firm and our hearts steadfast. How does the wind deals with fire? The wind blows out weak fires, but it makes the strong fires roar and flourish. It blows out the lamp, but a big fire becomes bigger when the wind blows. Now, Subramaniam Bharti says, we praise him every day. Whom do we praise and why? We praise the wind every day. We praise the wind because it gives us strength. It is the source of life for all living things, including the plants. As long as wind is our friend, it is very good. So we praise it daily. Now, if the wind won't do what we tell him, why does the poet ask it to come softly? The poet asks the wind to come softly only shows his desire. A strong wind causes much harm. It makes the small and the weak its victim. The weak things are broken and the weak people die. Why does the poet call the wind a winnower? I think this I have discussed several times with you. Then he make strong fires. The children, this one give the explain the role of the wind. So, children, if we will do this thing, we have to explain the whole summary. Um, what message portrayed the message conveyed by the poet through the medium of the wind. So children, I have told you what message he want to give. The poet want to give us the message that a strong person can face and defeat a violent opposition. A strong person is ready to face the difficulties in his life. A weak person cannot even defend himself and his thing. So one should be strong, brave and courageous to face all the odds of life. Then children mention the different form of the wind and their action. So this you can do by yourself. Um, as a friend, how we get help from the wind? So it gives us oxygen. As children, it gives us furniture. That means the uses of the wind you have to write. How does the wind cause trouble for the mankind? So it breaks the door, the window, the houses. Okay, all this thing it does. So children, with this I end my video, and I have discussed all the type of question answer with you. With this I end my video here. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.